There is a war going on right now. Not the kind of war that you hear about on the news, but a war that is greater than all. In fact, I would even go so far so as to suggest that it's the root cause of all wars, and it is the war of art. If you have a writer's block, then you need to read this book. If you feel stuck in your life, you need this. Even if you feel like everything in your life is going smoothly, you still need this book. This book is about overcoming procrastination, understanding why it exists, and learning how to fight it. It's about becoming true to yourself and getting out of your own way. It's about unleashing the gifts that lie within you. It's about shining so brightly that you transcend all humanity. This is more than a clever play on words. It's not just hyperbole meant to entice you into reading the book. It's a reality. The word war is meant to emphasize the seriousness of the situation. You cannot take this lightly. This book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 defines the enemy, the entity waging the war against us. Part 2 tells us how to fight it, and Part 3 talks about the higher intelligence helping us. Let's dive right in. The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Part 1, defining the enemy. The enemy is called the resistance. Resistance is what pops up when you need to finish your homework, but you don't. Resistance is what makes you go out on a night of binge drinking. It's impersonal, implacable, insidious, and cunning. It's what makes us feel unhappy. It's why we want to go back to bed in the morning. It's why we feel an all-pervasive guilt in our lives that we can't put a finger on. Now the author has chosen to define resistance as evil. So if you believe in the supernatural, then resistance is the devil. But even if you don't, then resistance is just your inability to overcome procrastination. However, there is something profound in accepting the author's presupposition that the resistance is an external entity. It lets us off the hook and it enables us to fight it. When we realize that resistance to doing a specific task or creating art is not just endemic to us, but is completely ubiquitous to the human race, then you stop beating yourself up and start beating resistance. We need to know how to control resistance because it has much deeper implications than simply not being able to write stories or paint. It's the difference between a fundamentalist and an artist. Steven Pressfield puts across a very interesting point, and this explains a lot about the current state of terrorism and why it exists. Fundamentalists lose control to resistance. Our brains are not wired to answer the kind of questions that we have to grapple with in the modern world. Who am I? Where am I going? What is the point of life? These are the kind of questions that were not meant to be handled by the human psyche. If one loses to resistance, then one is susceptible to accepting any false ideology that claims to answer these questions, because we are not able to answer them on our own. The fundamentalist then is just a negative shadow archetype of the artist. While the artist overcomes resistance and creates art and advances human life with a positive outlook, the fundamentalist wants to return human civilization to a false glory from the past, and this, coupled with a negative outlook on life and violent behavior, leads to terrorism. The truly free individual is only free to the extent of his self-mastery. Those who do not govern themselves are condemned to find masters to govern them. This is why overcoming resistance is key. Part 2. Overcoming resistance. How do we overcome resistance? By becoming professional. We're already professionals at something, be it school or our jobs. We show up on time, we do the work, we stay till we need to, and we buckle up when we need to. And even though we complain, we still carry on. Now imagine how that would translate if you acted that way towards your art. If you wanted to be a photographer, you showed up to different locations every day on time. You did the work without hesitation. No matter how hard it got, you stayed till closing time. That's what you need to overcome resistance. That's the difference between an amateur and a pro. You need to work for the love of the game. I make these videos because this is what I love, and no matter how many people are watching, I still get to make my art. I treat it like a job, working over 8 hours a day on it. I have overcome resistance and lost myself in the art, and I can personally attest to it. After you discharge all your duties and paint the canvas and empty the art from your system, there is no better feeling in the world than that. Part 3. The Higher Realm. If there are forces fighting against us, then there are also forces fighting for us. They are helping us along the way. The author likes to call these forces angels, and you can give it whatever name you want. It's what gives the artist his muse. It's that flash of insight that you get while taking a shower. It's the one small thing that you do that makes a difference. There is something magical about the art of creation itself. There is an untapped energy within you that releases itself whenever you set out on a creative endeavor. All artists have experienced this. It's as if something possesses the artists and the fingers start moving on their own. We can't see it, but it's like oxygen. An artist needs it to breathe. The author says that we can't become whatever we want to be. We are born with a certain set of characteristics, and it is our job to find those and make our art. If we don't, then we are not just hurting ourselves, but we are hurting our children, our family, and the entire earth. Your art expressed in its unique form could be a life-saving drug, a viral video, or a massive social website. Your job in this life is to defeat resistance, become a pro and trust in the angels, and soar to great heights. And even if you aren't able to do that, you still end up with a life well lived. That's all for this video. I highly recommend this book, and I hope you learned something new in this video. If you did, then please click the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.